Welcome back to the KDPG Sunday edition. I'm Paul Martino. It's a giant project, more than a decade in the making. Since 2008, the EPA's urged Alcosan, the Allegheny County Sanitary Authority, to come up with a plan to stop dumping raw sewage into our rivers. There have been years of delays. Now we finally have a plan, a multi-billion-dollar plan. Jennifer Barrasso reports many people argue the cost is worth it.
It's the cost of civilization. That's just the way it is. It's just the cost of the roads. It's the cost of having water in your house. The ability to have sanitary facilities in your house and it doesn't flow into the rivers. It's a bargain.
A bargain, says David Kaplan of Fox Chapel, after learning that the Alcosan, the Allegheny County Sanitary Authority, announced a new refurbishment project to overhaul its system to reduce the flow of sewage into our rivers.
Of course it's disgusting. I don't go in the rivers. I haven't gone in the rivers in almost 45 years.
Raw sewage flowing into Pittsburgh's rivers is a big problem. In fact, every year, the sewers discharge a mixture of at least 9 billion gallons of untreated sewage and stormwater into the Allegheny, Ohio, and Monongahela rivers.
This has been obviously a long time coming.
This after Alcosan announced its plan to eliminate much of that overflow using greener solutions.
Protecting water quality. And we don't just protect water quality for the heck of it, we're protecting public health.
Here's the new plan. Prevent extra water from entering the sewer system using rain gardens. Increase conveyance systems by adding pipes and tunnels. Regionalize sewers and add more than 200 miles of sewer infrastructure. And expand the water plant. The price is steep, $2 billion. After taxpayers already got hit with a 7% increase in 2017, the average monthly bill will now be nearly $43. Some taxpayers seemed unfazed.
That's fine with me because if it makes us have cleaner water and everything, that's perfectly fine because you got to pay for everything nowadays.
If it helps our city and it helps it make us cleaner, I think we need to do it. You know, it's progress.
So you don't mind paying?
Jennifer Barrasso reporting. This morning on the KDPG Sunday edition, we're taking a deeper dive into that $2 billion plan. Our guest is Douglas Jackson, Alcosan's Deputy Executive Director and the Director of Operations there. He's going to play a big role in implementing these new projects. I'm joined again by Jerry Micco from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Doug, Jennifer mentioned the 7% increase. It's 7% every year. This is going to be an enormous cost.
For sure, and rate structures, our impact on the ratepayers themselves is paramount, as is compliance. So with this new clean water plan, we've been able to negotiate a time extension. That time extension has allowed us to decrease the rates to a level that were not thought of originally. The original clean water plan or wet weather plan that was submitted suggested double-digit rate increases at this point in time, and now we're happy to say that through some fiscal responsibility, some tough decisions by our board, that we're 7% through 2021. So at least from the perspective of being able to control rates, we've been able to negotiate some additional time that has lessened the burden on the ratepayer.
But we have to spend the money. We're not in compliance, and we are dumping raw sewage into our rivers. Has to stop, right?
Yeah, that is correct. So it's one of those things that most people don't realize. If you go back and look historically, the wastewater treatment plant that serves 310 square miles of the Pittsburgh region only went online in 1959. That's surprising to many. And at that point in time, it handled flows of not only industrial, commercial, and human waste, but also the stormwater. It was a way to discharge what those wastes were. And we're always driven by regulatory compliance. So it's not as though we're dreaming up these regulations on ourselves. It's usually the federal government through the Clean Water, the Clean Streams laws, a variety of different federal programs that we're attempting to be in compliance with. Most people are just completely shocked at the fact that there's 9 billion gallons of untreated sewage that go into the river. There's a lot to go into the water quality in the river. And with our plan, we believe we're going to reduce that volume significantly down to maybe 7 billion gallons per year. It's not going to go to zero. As you know, with the rains and the events that have occurred recently, you can't control every Mother Nature event that ends up occurring, but we certainly, through this plan, will make a big dent in reducing that number.
You're only going to reduce it by 2 billion gallons a year?
No, so we'll reduce it by 7.
Oh, you're reducing it
Yeah,
by
that's
7. I
correct.
misunderstood.
Yep,
Okay.
so we will reduce
What's the
that.
plan? How are you going to fix it?
Yeah, so the plan is very, one, it's a compliant plan, but I think what we've done in the past couple years is that we've added in an awful lot of flexibility. So when we submitted the plan for public comment in 2012, there was a significant pushback on cost as well as green infrastructure, ways to control source water. So to make the subject as simple for those that are listening,
We like simple.
this is a rainwater issue. This is an issue primarily caused when it rains. Simplistically, if you had a way at the surface of the ground to capture all of the water at the surface before it went into the ground and touched sewage, then there probably wouldn't be a need for tunnels. There wouldn't be a need for storage because you would have absorbed all the water at the surface. But once that water leaves the surface, goes into the ground and touches sewage, it becomes sewage. So from that perspective, we're now trying to manage that rainwater, those source control measures of water at the surface from going into the ground that touch sewage, that then our obligation is to go ahead and control those. Not to zero, we're not suggesting that's the case, but limiting the overflows under the federal policy to 4 or 5 to 6 overflows a year.
You mentioned tunnels. How are you going to manage this water, the rainwater?
Right, so right now the adaptive part of what we, in addition to the tunnel extension, is that we basically
The
have...
tunnels are underground sort of storage tanks? Or
They are, yep,
Yeah.
so they are. So they are on dry weather days, they're empty. And when the rains come in, as have been done in other metropolitan areas, those tunnels fill up with this contaminated sewage and stormwater. It goes into the tunnel. The tunnel comes and discharges to the wastewater treatment plant actively. So we're pumping out as it's coming in, but we're also storing some volume as well. So that 7 billion gallons per year is still being treated, and it still comes to the plant, but that's essentially the purpose of the tunnel. Instead of discharging it, you store it, you provide some additional capacity to bring it to the plant. If there were ways to manage that more at the surface, through green infrastructure. So source control measures such as green infrastructure are ways to keep water at the surface and prevent them from adding to that 7, 8, 9 billion gallon per year number.
What is green infrastructure? Things like rooftop gardens? What are we talking here?
Yeah, so green infrastructure is a form of source control. So source control is everything from stopping waters from getting into the sanitary sewer system that don't need to go there. And in a lot of cases it's stormwater, so it's green infrastructure like rain gardens. Simplistically, sometimes it's rain barrels. It is bioswales. It is pavement that absorbs the moisture as opposed to being discharged into the sewage, but it's also sewer separation. It's also communities that are out there have a 1-pipe system going to a 2-pipe system. It's also dry streams that have been in the region for decades that it was easier to discharge those streams into the sewer system than it was to go the whole way to the river and discharge it. So a lot of these source control measures, which green infrastructure is one component of that, are things that have to be developed and built out in the municipalities where, quite frankly, Elkasan has no jurisdiction. So if you look at the totality of the sewage collection system, you have the treatment plant that right now treats up to 250 million gallons per day. Elkasan's responsibility is the plant and 90 miles. There's 4,000 miles of additional piping that go out there in our area that the city of Pittsburgh and 82 other municipalities are responsible for. We don't have a purview there. We don't really have the ability to be able to dictate to our municipal customers how they're to manage the flows that come into there. So controlling all those sources of
with their runoff.
Right, so all those sources of flows are ways that we are providing funding mechanisms. So we have a GROW program. It's a green revitalization of our waterways. It is a funding mechanism to help our municipal customers find ways to get water out of their system. So to financially incentivize some of the activities that have occurred, knowing many of these municipalities don't always have the financial wherewithal, as part of our rate structure, we have at least right now in the budget, there's at least $100 million over the time span of this program that we will fund municipal projects that primarily are reducing overflows. They're not necessarily there for flood protection. They're not there for a variety of other means, but from a compliance perspective, it is solely driven to reduce overflows that occur because of the wet weather events.
Because it took a long time to put this plan together and stop, starts, whatever, your deadline was extended to 2036, I believe.
That is correct.
From 2026,
That is
10-year extension. Will there be a way, or is there a way where this, the wastewater discharge will be cut as it moves forward, or are we going to have to wait till 2036 to really get the full impact on this?
So the two big components that are going to reduce the flow, one is the treatment plant expansion. So there are defined milestones in the consent decree that say by the end of 2025 and the end of 2027, the plant has to increase capacity from 250 million gallons to 480 million gallons, and then ultimately up to 600 million gallons. In addition to that, these funding mechanisms that we have in place for GROW programs, we are working with our municipal customers, encouraging them to reduce the flows that get into those 4,000 miles of pipe. And if it's through green infrastructure, that's fantastic. If it's through sewer separation projects, that's fantastic. If it's due to optimization of their system, terrific as well. If there's finding ways to get some of those streams out of there, those are all things that as we go through the next couple years, the more that we're able to reduce over the next couple years, allow us to go back to the regulatory agencies and say, we found a mechanism that is more efficient and is as good, if not better, in reducing the amount of overflows that are occurring, and then we can incorporate those green programs into ultimately our final plan.
Douglas Jackson, we're going to have to leave it right there. Good luck in this program. Come back, report the progress in the future.
Appreciate you having me. Thank you very much.
We'll be back in a moment when the KDPG Sunday edition continues.